All right, welcome. Today, we're about to go on an incredible journey through time. We're talking 4.5 billion years. We're going to piece together the story of our planet Earth to figure out how its past shaped our present and what clues it holds for our future.
To pull this off, you and we've got to think like cosmic detectives. And our big question is this: how in the world do you solve a mystery that's billions of years old? I mean, where do you even start looking for clues? Well, let's start by dusting for prints on the oldest crime scene in history.
Okay, so our investigation kicks off right at the very beginning with the formation of the Earth itself. We are opening a 4.5 billion-year-old case file, and the first thing we have to do is establish a timeline.
So, how do they do that? Well, geologists have this incredible forensic tool called radiometric dating. You can think of it like a geological clock. It works by measuring how unstable radioactive atoms break down into stable ones. And because this happens at a perfectly steady rate, we can pinpoint the age of rocks and minerals with just stunning accuracy. And get this, by using this exact method on meteorites that have fallen to Earth, scientists back in the 1950s calculated this mind-boggling number. Our planet is just a little over 4.5 billion years old. Wow. So now that we know the age, what did that early crime scene even look like?
So, our first clue? It points to a really violent, fiery start. The evidence shows that Earth wasn't just born whole. Nope. It was built, grain by grain, as tiny minerals and crystals in a giant dust cloud around the sun started clumping together, eventually forming a molten, red-hot planet.
Okay, clue number 2. This one shows us how our world got its structure. For millions of years, the young Earth was just getting hammered by asteroids and meteorites. These constant impacts generated so much heat that they literally melted the planet's inside. This allowed all the heavier, denser stuff to sink down and form the core, while the lighter materials floated up, creating the mantle and the crust. All right, so we've got a layered planet, but it's totally dry. Clue number 3 is where things get really wild, because it tells us where our oceans came from. And believe it or not, it's from space. For billions of years, meteorites carrying tiny trapped water crystals rained down on Earth, delivering all of our planet's water, drop by single drop, from the cosmos. So the scene is set, right? We have a layered, watery planet. But then, boom, the biggest plot twist in the entire 4.5 billion-year story. A brand new force emerges that will completely change everything, from the rocks under our feet to the very air we breathe. And that force is life.
Let's walk through this, because it's amazing. Life starts out super small, just single cells. Then, bam, 3.6 billion years ago, we get the real game changer, photosynthesis. Tiny little organisms start to breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. This one single innovation completely terraformed the planet. It led to more complex, multicellular life, then the ozone layer which protected that life, allowing it to finally move on to land. And yeah, even mass extinctions, like that huge asteroid that took out the dinosaurs, played a massive role in shaping who is here today, including us.
Okay, that brings us a lot closer to home. We've seen how the planet was built and how life completely reshaped it. So now, let's look under the hood. What is it that's actually powering the world that we know today? What's the engine that's driving all of Earth's systems? Well, the answer is 93 million miles away. It's the sun. It is the ultimate source of energy, the massive nuclear furnace in the sky that powers pretty much everything that happens on the surface of our planet. So how does all that energy actually get used here on Earth? Well, it flows through our ecosystems in what we all know as a food chain. As you can see right here, it all starts when the sun's energy gets captured by producers, plants. That energy then gets transferred to the consumers that eat those plants, and so on, right up the chain. But here's what's really fascinating, and you can see it in this diagram. Just look at how much the energy drops off at each step. As you move from the producer on the left to the top consumer on the right, it decreases dramatically. A whole lot of energy is getting lost somewhere. Yeah, this is actually a known thing. It's called the 10% rule. Only about a tenth of the energy from one level of the food chain actually makes it to the next level up. The other 90%, it's used for life processes, or it's just lost as heat. And that right there, that perfectly explains why you always have way more plants than you have herbivores, and way more herbivores than you have carnivores. But the sun's energy isn't just about the food chain. No way. It's the engine for our entire climate. The way the sun heats the Earth unevenly creates these zones of high and low pressure.
And that, in turn, powers the global wind and ocean currents that move heat all around the globe and regulate our planet's temperature.
Okay, so we've established the sun is the engine. But what's controlling the temperature? How does Earth keep things just right for life? Let's take a look at the planet's natural thermostat, the greenhouse effect.
But first, we need to get one thing straight. And the way our source material puts it is just perfect. Think of it this way. Weather is like a mood. It's what's happening outside right now. It's short-term. Climate, on the other hand, is like a personality. It's the long-term pattern of weather over time.
All right, now this slide is super important. On the left, you've got the natural greenhouse effect. Gases in our atmosphere act like a blanket, trapping some of the sun's heat and keeping Earth warm enough for us to live. You'll notice some heat still escapes out into space. But look at the right. That's the human-enhanced version. We're adding more of these gases to the atmosphere, essentially making that blanket thicker and trapping more heat.
So, where are all these extra gases coming from? This data gives us the breakdown. You can see transportation, generating electricity, and industry. Those are the biggest pieces of the pie. They're the main activities that are turning up Earth's thermostat.
So, let's recap. We've dug into Earth's creation, we've seen life change everything, and we've looked at the engine that runs our climate. Now, with all that evidence in our pocket, we can finally turn our detective work to the future. What does the data tell us about where we're headed?
And the most powerful clue for what's coming, it actually comes from the deep, deep past. Scientists drill these incredible things called ice cores from glaciers. Each layer of that ice has tiny air bubbles trapped inside, giving us a perfect sample. They are literally time capsules of what Earth's atmosphere was like hundreds of thousands of years ago.
And this right here, this is what that evidence reveals. This graph puts together data from those ice cores and our modern instruments. Just look at the red line, that's CO2 in the atmosphere. You see that dramatic, just vertical spike in recent history? It's completely unprecedented. And now look at the blue line, that's ocean pH. As the CO2 goes up, the ocean's pH goes down, which means it's getting more acidic. This is the smoking gun. And really, this brings us to the most important point of this whole investigation. The past is the key to the future. By digging in and understanding the forces that have shaped our climate for billions of years, we get the tools we need to understand and predict what's happening right now. So we've laid out all the evidence from 4.5 billion years of history. We've seen how our planet works, and we've seen how it's changing. The final question, well, it isn't really for the scientists anymore. It's for all of us. Knowing everything we know about the past, what verdict are we going to write for the future?